These are not real Ray-Bans, obviously, but I would love a pair. So if you care to donate to this motorcycle renegade poet, go to PayPal and use my email, charles@cicirella.com, CICIRELLA, and I appreciate your donation. I've always wanted a pair of Ray-Bans. First poem I'd like to read is a poem I wrote for Terry Provost, and I've titled it Terry Provost. Only poet in Cleveland worth his salt. I say this because it's true, and because Terry lambasts each and every one of us with his whirling jigsaw puzzle poetry. So quiet and unassuming, until he walks up to the mic, and before you know it, you're covered in molten lava as he takes us behind the woodshed for the whipping of our lives. Gentle, kind souls are too often steamrolled by celebrity whores whose sphincter mouths are filled with marbles and crow. My ass cavity hurts from all the intruders trying to get my attention by offering me full service and then delivering far too little, far too late. Terry's Tiger tank filled with rocket fuel as he takes us boldly into outer space where no one has gone before. The only poetry the only poetry host who has offered me a featured reading in Cleveland, and I'm guessing that's because my bull in a china shop blank verse doesn't serve the needs of those struck down by their own egos. He sees past all the worthless politics that's made Cleveland a one-horse poetry town, as one slam poet after the next dies from over or under exposure. I asked him the last time we saw each other if he'd do a feature with me, and he said yes, which made me happier than I've been in a real long time. Only poet in Cleveland, Ohio, who I'd give up my seat, because he's the only Cleveland poet who gets what it means to be a word man. People will read this and say, who the hell am I to write such tripe? And to that I just turn and walk away, because the writing has been on the wall longer than most of these so-called poets have been on the scene. I'm so tired of slowing down and waiting for everyone else to catch up. I'd rather fly into the sun as Terry and I get our space legs and continue assembling our poetry from the rarefied ether. Trying to relax. My soul is constipated. I think we can all relate to that right now. Did you ever think you'd be in a country where people are so fucking stupid that they'd rather themselves, their family, and their children get sick because putting on a mask is somehow taking away their civil liberties? Of course, I'm guessing in most cases these are the same assholes who say, it's their right to carry a gun, and I guess it's not our right to want to stay alive. As shootings in America literally become a national pastime. It's fucking disgusting. I wrote this poem for Daniel Sneven. The Lakota Badlands. The Lakota people know where the door to Mother Earth is. I doubt they'll ever show us, because it's painstakingly clear we don't know how to keep a secret. Stand outside and change your mind. And when you return, maybe then you won't be so quick to dispense with the formalities and take room service for granted. Excuse me. I watched her in the tub, and as she splashed around like a Santa Monica mermaid, excuse me, I swear it diminished my own trifecta of filth. You want to draw straws? Fine. But by the time we're through, we'd better have a clear line of succession. I've never been very good at delegating. I think it's got something to do with when I was a child, and getting hung out to dry was a national pastime like baseball and guns. The Badlands inhabit my dreams and keep me from getting frostbite. You desperately keep trying to fill me up with lies about this or that failed policy for free expression and free trade, when neither one does a damn thing to keep us any safer. We would be better off handing America back to the Native Americans, because Mother Earth will never reveal her secrets to us, nor should she. Exhausting, but in a good way. Infuriating. That's sometimes how I feel when we talk. But then I laugh, because I'm sure I infuriate plenty of people. You cut through me like a laser, and I wonder how it will go when we meet and we fuck like two supernovas. I should already be asleep, but shit happens, and when it does, we best be prepared with lots of toilet paper and a squeegee. I'm gonna lie down and imagine we're together under the same roof as I throw off the covers and go to town on every single inch of you. Stand up, stand down, and let's stop pretending we know what's happening as intimacy becomes our second language. I treasure you like I treasure a good day fading into black. My hands were tied behind my back, but I could still taste you, because my taste buds are always ready to go that extra mile. It's beyond frustrating always pretending you're not exalted, when you know damn well that's not true, as delusions of grandeur come like a thief in the night and take you to an undisclosed location in your mind. Exhausted. That's sometimes how I feel when we talk. But then I have a good chuckle, because I'm sure I exhaust plenty of people. Joanna, you barnstorm through my woke soul like a group of Cossacks whose only purpose in life is to self-govern themselves back into existence. I'm tough without having a shell. Find the words. Find them wherever they are, under the stars, beneath the seat cushions, shook me clearly enough to be myself. It's a tall order to empty when your heart is full of pollutants. There's something I hunger to tell you, if only my appetite didn't intrude on what I was thinking. It's been this way ever since the poetry probed me, and I realized it was the only way that I'd ever get free. Locate the words. Discover them however they present themselves. Atop a pine tree, through the smiles of the strangers you meet. Shaking you awake. The nightmare left you bruised and unmasked. I'm the short order cook you brought to bear when seeing double was no longer a virtue. There is no one else I desire to be with. You fill my eyes with dreams and my mouth with sweet and savory fairy tales. It's been this way since we turned into each other's radio stations and danced real slow to the beat of our shared wavelength. This poem's entitled Say It Now. I'm losing my shit. It's running down my legs. Say it now or forever hold your peace. And the poetry came to me like a thief in the night, and it saved me from myself, and for that I'll forever be grateful. And the moon hangs in the empty sky, spinning its pulp fiction lies, as I await another surge of inspiration to kill me dead. I'm not talking about a physical death. I haven't been physical with anyone for so long, I'm not even sure I would know what to do. As I wrestle this existential crisis to its unforgiving, unrepentant conclusion, I swear, I'm through blaming myself for not taking responsibility when a gun was placed against my temple and I was given the choice to either give up names or die a sniveling deserter. We drive through the rain like a country song that's drunk itself into an early grave. We drive until the wheels fall off and burn. And that doesn't even do the trick, convincing us we've pushed ourselves quite far enough. I became lost in the folds of your poisonous chapbooks long before discovering myself captivated by your smelly sex and obscene gestures of self-gratification and self-hatred. And even that didn't help me to see you for who you really are. I want to say it now, but what if the poetry reveals nothing more than a cathedral full of sheepish believers praying on their rusty knees to God only knows who? I remember the first time I licked your finite pussy and how I did it without a road map or some other GPS device leading me to the X that surely marks the spot. I'm losing my shit, but I guess that's to be expected when I was never very good at making up for lost time or going to bed early enough so that I'm ready for a new day and a new way to finally absolve myself of all these ready-made crossroads sins. This poem's entitled Success. I was just imagining you sitting on my face and me watching you like I used to watch television. It was the romance of looking into the eyes. This poem is for Catherine. It's called excuse me. It's called Social. I keep thinking about the root beer that's in the refrigerator calling me. Charlie. It's called Social Distancing. It's for Cat. Want to see you in a mask and nothing else, including your conscience. Social distancing is one thing, but an ocean between us keeps me hungry and stoic, like Abraham Lincoln addicted to heroin. Truth be told, when it comes to you, I hardly know what I'm saying. It has something to do with with an Acme safe and my cartoon brain going on hiatus. I exist in the gray areas, where viruses and miracles both feed. We're all parasites, and our caste systems don't look all that different in the last gasps of a dying sun. I can't stop thinking about the riots and how I need to get out there and take a rubber bullet, or even a real one if I roll snake eyes. I know I supposedly have white on my side, but that gives me little comfort because I'll never be able to wrap my head around a human being kneeling on another human being's neck for over 9 minutes while 3 other officers stood by doing absolutely fucking nothing to stop it. My mind is racing all around, wondering where Pavlov is gone, and if he might have gotten COVID-19 and expired. You, Cat, David Bowie, and perhaps some Prince at the end of the night, as we party like it's 1999 and everything around us burns to the burning ground. I love you. This poem's for America. It's called Under the Weather. Come on, man. Cradle her in my arms, a beautiful woman with the sun in her eyes, connected to the synergy in everything. I create to breathe and breathe to create. Walking and chewing gum go hand in hand once you let go of the throttle. I'll never forget when my brother tried teaching me how to ride a dirt bike. I was nowhere near coordinated enough, but it was nice to spend some quality time with Steve, before he stopped speaking to the entire family, going on over 30 years. Some people, they break beneath the pressure, while others become a diamond, able to cut glass and leap tall buildings in a single bound. Teachers are the real superheroes, not the athletes and celebrities. I want to believe we're better than all this mishigas. But after 4 years of dumbass and the constant death knell of the Republicans toward any even remotely charitable act, I'm starting to think we're getting exactly what we deserve. America the vain, America the superficial, getting cut down in her prime. And just like James Dean, neither one's leaving a very good-looking corpse. It's perverse what we prioritize in our country as a person's deplorable acts of selfishness expose all of us to a plague of biblical proportions. I'm talking to you, Jeff Bezos. The writing, and Bill Gates, and Richard Branson, and Warren Buffett, and the list goes on and on and on. The writing has been on the walls for decades as America gets dementia and forgets how to read the signs of her own downfall. Couple more. This is a poem from my friend Chrissy. I've known Chrissy since 2001. I first met her because we both of our loves for Bob Dylan. Chrissy saw Bob the first time in '65 in Cleveland. If you ask Bob, he'll tell you. Cleveland was one of the places where when he went electric, they didn't boo. I love Chrissy. We don't see eye to eye on much of anything, but we're good friends. And I really, really am grateful for that. Her and her husband, Lacey. Lacey bought me a Baconator. If you buy me a Baconator, I'll be your best friend for the rest of our lives. This is called Chrissy. Listening to Bob and thinking about Chrissy. She's one of my favorite people in the whole wide world. It's been that way from the very beginning. Because as much as we disagree about politics, the way we feel about music rivals any differences that we may have. 2001, I was living in Grandview, Ohio with $20 Tom, and I needed to get to a Bob Dylan concert. I was meeting Chrissy to exchange bootlegs, so I asked if I could catch a ride. A bond was formed that afternoon that continues to this very day. Beatles or Dylan? Beatles or Dylan? Who would you choose? Chrissy chose Bob, and I believe that helped shape who she is. Maybe I'm making hay where no farm exists, but I don't believe that's true because Bob Dylan continues to affect our culture. Listening to Street Legal and thinking about the many miles we've shared, and not once did we disagree or raise our voices. There's something to be said for someone who calls themselves sugary. I believe it's a tip-off to how sweet that person is. Chrissy is one of the nicest human beings I've ever met, but make no mistake, being nice is not a sign of weakness. If Chrissy lets you in, you'll soon realize she's as shrewd as a snake, inoffensive as a dove, and doesn't wear her feelings like coat feathers for everyone to pluck. Wordage. Wrote this way back in 2015. There's a blizzard of words in my head. No two snowflakes are alike, and it's the same with words and people and even prayers once you put them under the microscope. There's a blizzard of you in my head, and it's bound to kill me dead. It's okay, though, because I have always wanted to overdose on someone else's wordage. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy, like being white and walking through the south side of Chicago at night. We met on Facebook, a funny place to hook up, I will admit, but it seems like more and more people are doing this social networking thing, which I believe has ushered in a new age of anti-social behavior. Close-knit societies are no longer all the rage, and quilting bees seem to have worn out their worn, warm, cozy welcome. When it comes to poetry slams, I would rather slam my head against a cement wall than enter my bloody blood poetry into a blood sport where a bunch of professional alcoholics skewer me like a roast pig. There's a tempest and a teapot of poetry in my head. No two poems are alike, and the same goes with a good cup of English tea. Once you stop being a snob and accept afternoon tea as an inevitability. There's a populace of poets raging in my head. It's all right, though, because I would rather like all of those creative peoples ransacking my chamber of commerce brain and leaving me completely spent and whittled down to size. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy, like eating only ghosts morning, noon, and night, and going to bed haunted full of someone else's memories and regrets. One more. Complete Unknown. This was written in 2014. I've never had a proper home, really. Been sleeping on someone's couch or floor since before I can remember. Friends tell me I can change if I really wanted to. But I understand some things are set into motion long before they're ever a part of any master plan. My mother told me I have delusions of grandeur, to which I responded, "Your point being?" When I realized the writing was a part of my DNA, I knew my fate had been sealed and my destiny was a foregone conclusion I had better learn to accept, because there was no hope of penciling in a different future. We drove by a church and my mother pointed at it and said that they wouldn't be very happy knowing that I was out. I had no idea what she was talking about, but the air in the car quickly became very still, and my insides knotted up like a pretzel. I've never seriously considered robbing a bank because I don't think I could get the teller to actually believe me, even if I were holding a gun. Some people are born for greatness, while others are just born. But we're all miracles. There is no disputing that, no matter how hard you try taking your pessimism to the next plateau. When we met, I knew immediately you were the silver lining to the dark cloud I had been carrying around with me since they cut the cord and I was unleashed on an unsuspecting public. I wish we could have played house together longer. But I understand that living with a monster quickly gets old, especially when the monster starts believing his or her own press. Thanks for listening. My name is Charles Cicirella. I'm the motorcycle renegade poet. Thanks to Nicole, and she knows why.